three legs of the triad, though, do you have a priority? Because I want to go to Senator Rubio after that and
I
ask
think
him.
to me, nuclear is just the power, the devastation is very important to me.
Now that is terrifying. He's exaggerated the size of his inauguration crowd. He said the election was marred by mass voter fraud with no real proof of that. He lied about being invited on this show and about the ratings for The Celebrity Apprentice. He pretended to be his own publicist. Even his building, Trump Tower, is not as big as he says it is.
Imagine this. John Oliver is attacking Trump like a ravenous dog with a tasty steak because all he has to go on is the truth and a nasty sense of humor. Oh, it was really lovely. The lies of Trump, cut up. His pride, cut up. What about the viewership? Howling with amusement. Oliver, nevertheless, wasn't just a joker. He made some really troubling revelations about our former president. Not only is Trump's hair absurd, but that's not the only thing about him. Watching John Oliver dismantle Trump's reality distortion field is akin to seeing a magician reveal all the ruses behind the world's most impressive illusion show. The magician is attempting to govern a nation in this instance, though. Oliver delves into Trump's peculiar connection with the truth, and I can assure you that it's more strange than octopi playing Twister. Do you recall when Trump claimed that more people attended his inaugural than Obama's? Oliver was not going to put up with that bullshit. With all the subtlety of a bull in a china shop, he called out how Trump exaggerated the size of his inauguration crowd. Hold on, things get better. Oliver provides a tasty tip regarding Trump's fabrication about the weather. Acquire this. During his inauguration speech, Trump denied that it was raining, even though it was evidently raining. Oliver jokes that he even lied about the weather during his inauguration.
Trump has made it clear that reality is not important to him. Think about it. He's exaggerated the size of his inauguration crowd. He said the election was marred by mass voter fraud with no real proof of that.
It was almost raining. The rain should have scared him away, but God looked down and he said, we're not going to let it rain on your speech.
No, he didn't. If God did look down, his only thought would have been, wait, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir? So that is where we are currently at. We have a president capable of standing in the rain and saying it was a sunny day.
It did rain while you were speaking. People behind you were wearing ponchos, who, after all, fabricates weather reports. It's like saying that the sky is green when it's clearly blue. And Oliver says this gem, we have a president capable of standing in the rain and saying it was a sunny day just when you think it can't get any more absurd. It's as though Trump is writing, directing, and starring in his own version of Truman Show. The worst part, Oliver credits some dude on Twitter with starting this voter fraud accusation. That's correct, people. The world's most powerful person gets his facts from arbitrary tweets. It's comparable like deciding on foreign policy with a magic 8-ball. This is where the terrifying part comes in. Oliver describes the way that Trump's disinformation functions like a perverted version of telephone, merely sees something that jives with his worldview, doesn't check it, half remembers it, and then passes it on. Even the most ardent conspiracy theorist would find themselves in a never-ending circle of fake news. Oliver threw a curveball when he said that Trump's relationship with the truth is going to be of profound importance going forward because any policy discussion has to begin with a shared sense of reality, and Trump's reality can change within a single sentence. Just when you thought you had a handle on Trump's reality, similar to attempting to affix Jell-O to a wall, it vanishes just when you think you've got it. Let's explore some of Trump's biggest hits, and no, I'm not referring to his musical career. Speaking of surprising things, the debunking of Trump's lies by John Oliver is akin to a greatest hits album, only instead of chart topper singles, we get whoppers that would make Pinocchio wince. When Trump boasted about his TV ratings, do you recall? Oliver, though, wasn't buying it. He brought up the fact that Trump overstated the results for The Celebrity Apprentice, much like a fisherman bragging about a catch that slipped away. To enhance his image, Trump even went so far as to pose as his own publicist, but that's not the best part. What a bunch of nonsense from a one-man show. But there's still more. Oliver launched a jab at Trump's architectural feats. It seems like Trump transformed his 58-story structure into a stunning 68-story work of contemporary architecture. You might wonder how, merely by omitting floor numbers. It seems as though Trump is teasing the truth. Oliver joked that firefighters might actually run into trouble with this. Imagine attempting to save someone from an imaginary 65th floor. Who could overlook Trump's prominent position in the birther hoax? It resembled a horrible film that would never end. Trump persisted in saying that Obama wasn't born in the United States, presumably in the hopes that if he said it often enough, it would come to pass. Warning, that didn't. Trump's exaggerations don't end there either. Oliver was thoroughly impressed by Trump's campaign assertions. Do you recall Trump claiming that the homicide rate has increased over the previous 45 years, or that there was a GDP deficit?
Next, you're going to tell me that Obama is aloof, Dick Cheney is evil, and Paul Ryan doesn't climax until he checks his Fitbit to see how many calories he's burned from f***ing. You're probably thinking, oh great, another blizzard of snowflakes from Last Cuck Tonight with Johnny Triggerwarn. PolitiFact found that just over a quarter of President Obama's statements that they evaluated were some degree of false. But with Trump, that number is currently over 2/3.
This is what makes it covering Donald Trump so very difficult. What does he mean when he says words?
Oliver disproved that claim more quickly than you could say basic economics, pointing out that GDP cannot be lower than zero. It appears as though Trump believes that the economy is a game of how low can you go, and there's the rate of unemployment. According to Trump, it was as much as 42% or even 35%. Oliver made a joke about the purge occurring in response to a 42% jobless rate. We're either working in Trump's America or running for our lives in a terrifying dystopia, I suppose. Nothing exists in between.
We are talking about the president, like a Tinder match we've been on 4 dates with. I asked him if we could hang out this Friday, and he said, probably, ... I'm starving.
When you hear 4.9 and 5% unemployment, the number's probably 28, 29, as high as 35. In fact, I even heard recently 42%.
Trump's relationship with the truth is going to be of profound importance going forward, because any policy discussion has to begin with a shared sense of reality.
The icing on this stretcher Sunday, though, Trump's inauguration weather report. Trump maintained that it didn't rain while giving his speech, despite the fact that many were using umbrellas and ponchos. He acts as though he is a weatherman with false information. As Oliver put it, Trump's relationship with the truth is going to be of profound importance going forward, because any policy discussion has to begin with a shared sense of reality. Oliver summed it up brilliantly, comparable to attempting to play chess with a player who maintains that all of the pieces are checkers. What does he mean when he says words? Questioned a reporter covering Trump. When you're dealing with a guy who views facts more like suggestions than actual facts, it's reasonable to ask this inquiry. In relation to startling revelations, have you ever questioned the source of Trump's facts? Get ready for an exciting voyage through Trump's information ecosystem as John Oliver takes us on. It's similar to a theme park, only that instead of roller coasters, there are endless conspiracy theories and Fox News repeats. Oliver examines Trump's TV addiction with the same level of detail as a physician reviewing an unusual patient. The diagnosis isn't pretty, I assure you. It appears that our chief terrorist is more hooked to the television than a couch potato on a Netflix marathon. Oliver notes that Trump consumes so much cable TV that Fox News is audibly booming on Air Force One.
Just 2 weeks ago, he tweeted, ungrateful traitor Chelsea Manning, who should never have been released from prison, is now calling President Obama a weak leader terrible, which is interesting. And you would hope that as president, he'd now be getting information from primary sources and briefings, but Trump still watches a phenomenal amount of cable news. That phrase was used on Fox News just 15 minutes before he tweeted in a segment which also called Manning an ungrateful traitor. If someone changed the channel to the Sprout Network, he'd tweet, Caillou's life is boring even for a cancer kid. Sad.
Who needs real advisors when you have Tucker Carlson as your president, I suppose? However, things improve. Oliver focuses on how Trump frequently tweets about things he just witnessed on television. He acts as though he is the only participant in a game of political telephone. Do you recall when Trump referred to Chelsea Manning as a weak leader and a ungrateful traitor? Guess what, though? Just 15 minutes ago, someone on Fox News uttered those exact same remarks. How inventive. Surely the president of the United States has more reliable sources than cable news, you could be asking yourself now. You lovely summertime child, presenting the dynamic duo of questionable information, Breitbart and InfoWars. When Oliver makes fun of Trump for touting these as reliable sources, he doesn't hold back. You know, when the headlines on your favorite news website read, birth control makes women unattractive and crazy, you kind of wish you had chosen not to, but there's still more. Oliver targets InfoWars, the wonderland of conspiracy theories where facts go to die. He plays some of Alex Jones's best-known quotes, such as the claim that the government manipulates tornadoes and that chemicals are added to the water to turn the friggin' frogs gay. I don't know about you, but it seems like reality and Alex Jones aren't on good terms these days. This goes beyond light entertainment. Oliver explains how Trump's obsession to disinformation generates a risky cycle. After seeing something on TV, he tweets about it, and all of a sudden, right-wing media is reporting it as reality. Like a game of telephone, only instead of amusingly mispronounced words, we're playing with potentially terrible policy choices. Spend some time. According to Trump, millions of people cast illegal ballots. Where did that pearl of wisdom originate? An arbitrary tweet that InfoWars discovered, and in Trump's universe, a vacuous assertion becomes a fact in an instant. It's enough to make you want to rewind the entire presidential election. Did you find Trump's Twitter stream amusing? Wait until you see what John Oliver uncovers about the entire disinformation disinformation circus. It's similar to seeing a magician pull rabbits out of a hat, only in this case the hat is Fox News and the bunnies are lies. Oliver dissects Trump's fact-checking procedure, and I can assure you that it's not quite as meticulous as a drunken man throwing darts. He draws attention to the fact that Trump frequently quotes information from dubious sources without bothering to verify its accuracy. Recall the assertion on the illegal votes? It appears to have originated with a random tweet that InfoWars discovered. That's correct, people. The same source from whom the head of the free world gets his facts also believes that the government is gaining frogs. This is where things get very twisted, though. Oliver demonstrates how the false information spreads more quickly than high school reunion rumors. After Trump tweets about something he saw on TV, it quickly becomes news, like a game of telephone, only instead of amusingly mispronounced words, we're playing with potentially terrible policy choices. And who is in charge of this insane train? Only the conservative media. When Oliver discusses how sites like Breitbart and Fox News continue to disseminate Trump's alternative truths, he doesn't hold back. They seem to be competing to see who can make up the wildest tale, and Trump believes it all word for word. However, don't assume that this is merely light entertainment. Oliver cautions that the disinformation cycle is more hazardous than a child with a flamethrower. He makes the point that Trump's dissemination of misleading information can result in some really bad choices, like, oh, I don't know, erecting a massive wall that won't really achieve anything. And here's the thing, Trump keeps spreading lies even in the face of the facts. It's like arguing with a stone wall, only with nuclear codes and Twitter accounts attached. Among Oliver's most horrific burns, according to him, Trump's misinformation loop generates a feedback cycle where erroneous information is confirmed and spread again, making it harder and harder to distinguish reality from fiction. It feels as though we're all trapped in a mirror maze at a funhouse. However, instead of seeing distorted mirrors, we're witnessing twisted reality. Oliver does more than simply identify the issue. He emphasizes that democracy depends on upholding the truth of the facts. We're in worse trouble than a submarine with screen doors when the President of the United States can't distinguish between fact and fiction, let's face it. Oliver nevertheless contends that each of us must do our share to break the pattern of deception. He asserts that we should try to confirm news before disseminating it and hold media companies responsible for disseminating misleading information. We all seem to be deputized fact checkers these days. The next time you come across an outrageous assertion on social media, consider doing a quick Google search before clicking the share button. You understand, unless you wish to contribute to the issue.
Trump just made the interior of Air Force One sound like the living room of an old person who died 3 days ago and who nobody's found yet. Is because of this guy. Now, since taking office around 412 years ago.
Doing good. Thank you. How was your first flight, sir?
That's real. To give you a sense of just how much he watches cable news, a few hours later he was on Air Force One and you could actually hear the commercials from Fox News blaring in the background.
Did you find Trump's hair outrageous? Just wait to see what John Oliver is coming up with to counter the deluge of false information engulfing the White House. It is as if he is attempting to educate a goldfish how to ride a bicycle, where the president is the goldfish and the bicycle is the fundamentals of knowledge. Oliver isn't merely making remarks from the sidelines, he's getting his hands dirty and plunging into the mire of bogus news. It's messier than a preschool food battle, I promise you. Oliver is serving up fact-checking realness on a hot plate first. Before clicking the share button, he advises viewers to put on their detective hats. Is this a reliable source that I'm aware of? Has anyone verified this with facts? Is there a connection to primary sources? And do those sources corroborate the narrative? He gives off the impression of being a brilliant lecturer in How Not to Be a Gullible Goose 101. Oliver isn't stopping there, though. He is going after the big fish, the Trump administration's media offensive. Do you recall Steve Bannon referring to the media as the opposition party? Oliver does not accept it. He is criticizing the White House's tactic of labeling anything they disagree with as fake news. They seem to be playing a perverted version of Marco Polo, only that instead of saying Marco, they are constantly yelling fake. This is where things really start to shine. Oliver is proposing answers rather than merely lamenting the state of affairs. And how inventive they are. Wow. Imagine this. Fact-checking advertisements that run during Trump's morning cable news programs are intended to smuggle facts into his media consumption. It's like attempting to hide veggies in a kid's mac and cheese, only instead of the vegetables being genuine facts, the kid is the president. A cowboy describing the nuclear triad can be seen in one of these treasures. Land-based missiles, missiles fired from submarines, and airborne bombers make up the nuclear trinity. This discourages an attack on us or our friends and strengthens our capacity to retaliate in the event that one of those is destroyed. Who would have thought that country security could be so yeehaw? But there's still more.
Now, Trump himself has admitted he gets a lot of it from TV, which may explain why he speaks so confidently about cable news staples like crime and terrorism.
Three legs of the triad, though. Do you have a priority? Because I want to go to Senator Rubio after that. And
I
ask
think
him.
to me, nuclear is just the power, the devastation is very important to me.
Now, that is terrifying.
Another commercial criticizes the Geneva Convention. It might seem like a show of strength to kill the families of terrorists, but according to the Geneva Convention, it's actually a war crime. It resembles a public service announcement for war crimes for dummies. Oliver even addresses the jobless rate. One commercial clarifies the unemployment rate is a carefully calculated measure derived from a monthly survey conducted by 2 federal agencies and has been the agreed upon standard since 1948. How fascinating could economics be? And not to be overlooked is the climate change advertisement. There is global warming even though it is cold at times. Partner, you're mistaking climate for weather. It's like Clint Eastwood meets Bill Nye, the science guy. These ads are hilarious while being so absurd. Oliver seems to be attempting one corny advertisement at a time to rewire the president's brain. Is it going to work? Who knows? But one thing is certain, John Oliver is bringing out the big weapons in the fight against fake news, and they have a ton of information packed into charming jingles and cowboy hats.